As well as Mandiza. Bring the time to some 11 past 7. Is that time of the day, is that time of the week, is that time on Wednesday when we meet here to inspire you, to give you a good dose of motivation, to tell you, hey, whatever it is that you're going through, you will survive. Because guess what? People have been through worse and you're still here. Yes, they're bracing the storm, breaking barriers, and making things happen. What is your excuse? You have none at all. Well, if you're still holding on to your excuses, wait until you hear our conversations on the show when people have been through stuff that they thought they can never overcome. My name is Miriam. A good evening to you and you and you and you. Thanks for choosing us in your cars as you're still driving home. And for those who are home already, lucky you. But thanks for choosing us and not missing our appointment right here on Unedited. Shouts to the team. Mami Ajo account on production. Ima on social media. We've got Solution on technical. And we've got you on the other side of the radio. It's still the month of October. That means that our campaign to raise awareness about breast cancer is still on. Last week, we had the privilege of speaking to a male survivor. Now, whilst, of course, breast cancer in men may be rare, it is real. And we had the privilege of speaking to a survivor who shared some very detailed and graphic details about his journey. Today, we're speaking with another survivor. Now, she's going to join us over Zoom because she's not in Ghana at the moment. Now, you know what they say about life? When it gives you lemon, you make what? Lemon juice or lemonade, right? Whatever life throws at you, you try to turn this around and make it worthwhile. She, at one point in her life, was hit with the most devastating news in her life. The fact that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. But it didn't stop her. She survived. And she's using her experience to do amazing things. What exactly? We'll find out in just a few when we engage Isabella, who's joining us via Zoom. Of course, we're live on social media on 3FM 92.7. Go on there. Click on the link and share it whilst you're there as well. You never know who may inspire. Once again, welcome to a world. As usual, I have got to play you a song to motivate you, right? I'll be honest with you. There are quite a number of them on my list today, including one that continuously grows on me. There's just a very, very realistic aura around the song, all right? It's a song by Cat Burns. I've played it once on the show before. But it gives you a reminder that, Charlie, whatever you've got to do, just do it too. Time not that day like that. more. You're just gonna love everything about this song, and I hope that it blessed you with the words that she speaks in the song. In just a few, our guests will be joining us via Zoom, and we can dig into the conversation. But here's something for you to look forward to, especially if you've been quite tired, with work and you've got so much going on. You're looking for a place to just breathe and de-stress. How about the 3FM Corporate Connect? It's time to pause from the tight schedules and deadlines, escape from the traffic after work, and let down your hair and unwind at the 3FM Corporate Connect. Come mingle with CEOs, top business executives, entrepreneurs, and like-minded people at the most exciting corporate networking event in Accra. There'll be fun corporate games, live band action, non-stop jam by seasoned DJs, and of course, tasty grills and thrills as well. Join us for the 3FM Corporate Connect on Friday, the 27th of October, at the Shades Lounge and Restaurant from 5 p.m. Till, if you like, till late or till like Mama calls. For more information, sponsorship or reservation, here's a number to call: 0532 200-927. That's 0532 200-927. 3FM Corporate Connect and Wine and Network is powered by 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio station, and supported by TV3 and sponsored by Origin. All right. I guess will be joining us in just a few minutes, and then she will share her journey. Her journey from finding out that she has breast cancer to experiencing, the power of God through nurses who came to her aid, right? Prior to her finding out that she had breast cancer, she was a traveling nurse, and that can be a very busy schedule. You know what I mean? That means constantly on the road, providing health care. So how did her world turn around, when she was hit by this blow? How did treatment start? Did she think she was going to survive? Luckily for her, I guess it was identified quite early. But of course, the journey, I'm sure, wasn't that easy. I see Isabella showing on my screen. Let's go on and say hello. Let's try this. Hello, Isabella. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, give me a moment. Let me sort this out. Okay. Yes, I can hear you, Isabella. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. So it's evening in Ghana. So good evening. What time of the day is it? Where you are?
It's 3 p.m. 3:20.
Oh, it's 3 p.m. I see. Which part of the world are you?
Yes.
Where in the world are you?
I'm from New York. We're driving from New York, Washington, D.C.
Okay, so if I heard you clearly, you're in Washington at the moment.
Oh, I'm driving to Washington.
Oh, you're driving to Washington. Okay. Unfortunately, your network is very dodgy. So I miss portions of what you say. I don't know if it's my internet or your internet, but I can be sure mine is fine. Or is it because you're driving?
Okay. I'm sure, possibly, yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for choosing to spend some time with us on the show this afternoon. This evening in our part of the world. The whole month of October, as you know, is for creating awareness on breast cancer. And we've been sharing some very uplifting stories of overcoming breast cancer. An experience you know all too well. So let's backtrack to what year you were diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay, so I was diagnosed April 1st, 2015, so 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Hello, Isabella, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, your network is pretty dodgy. I think because you're driving.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, I think I have to get closer to the speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed April 1st, 2015.
Right. And the period leading to the when you were diagnosed, did you have any unusual occurrences? As far as your breast health is concerned, did you notice anything unusual?
No, my cancer was very early because when I turned 40, I was being screened every year. So every year I was in the US at the time. So every year I knew that I had to get my mammogram done. So I think 5 or 4 years into it, when I was about 45, they told me that my breast tissues were dense, meaning that it's quite thick.
Right.
Alone is not enough to see if any changes happen. So in June 2014, so at some point they told me that instead of every year going for a mammogram, I needed to go every 6 months. And with not just a mammogram, but an ultrasound. So June 2014, I did just that. A mammogram and an ultrasound, everything was fine. So in December 2014, 6 months afterwards, I went back to, a routine check. That's what I thought, a routine check. And that's when they noticed the changes. So for me, all it took was 6 months for the changes to occur. And because of that, my cancer was diagnosed at stage 0, meaning that where it started is where it was. It hadn't had time to spread.
Right.
But it took just 6 months for the changes to happen.
I know that women after a certain age, after 40, are susceptible to, breast cancer, as the, medical practitioners will tell us. But did you have any history of cancer or breast cancer in particular in your family line, or any indication, anything you found out that was prevalent?
No, I had no history, no the risk factors. I did not check any of the boxes. So it came as a complete surprise. I never thought it would happen to me, but it happened to me. 1 in 8 women. So in a room full of 15 men, 2 will be diagnosed. 24 women, 3 will be diagnosed. So it's more common than we think. And now they said start getting screened at 40, but a lot more women, younger women, are getting breast cancer in their 20s, in their 30s.
Right.
So it's very important for people to know, one, their risk factors. If there's a family history, then you don't wait till you're 40 to start getting the mammogram. You start one by knowing your own breast, knowing what your breast feels like, embracing your breast, as we say, loving your breast, touching it, seeing it, looking at it, so that if anything happens, you catch it early.
Absolutely.
Because the earlier it's caught, the better it is.
Yeah.
The outcome.
I know at the time that you were diagnosed, you were a traveling nurse. And that I want to believe that you had a pretty healthy lifestyle, and you were very aware of, your state of health. So how did the news come to you when your results came out and said that it was cancerous?
It was very surreal, because at the time I was healthy. I don't get headaches, my pressure, everything. Both of my parents at the time were alive, so everything as far as I thought or I knew was perfect. So of all the things that I could have come down with, breast cancer was not on the radar for me at all. So it was surreal. I can't, for some reason, it wasn't a shock more than it was surreal, like how me, but it happened, and it can happen to anyone.
Absolutely. But you had a family then. You were married with kids then. How did your family take it?
At the time I was married, I had children. I remember my kids were in school at the time, so I had to wait. It wasn't a diagnosis that you want to give to somebody over the telephone.
Yes.
So I remember when I had to break it, I broke it to my kids. I just started to say, I've been diagnosed. I hadn't even finished saying anything. My daughter fell to the ground wailing. My son just ran. I punched a hole in the, back in America, the walls are not concrete. Punched a hole in the wall and just ran out of the house. Everybody was crying. My mom, myself, everybody, because you don't want to tell that to your children, But when I calmed them down. Luckily, by the time they came, I'd done my research. I'd met my doctor. I knew my plan. I knew that my cancer was early. So my prognosis was very good, even though I had to have surgery. And I remember my son saying to me, Mommy, why you? Why you? And I said to him, why not me? Why should it be somebody else's mother? Why should it be somebody's sister, somebody's daughter? Because breast cancer is common. Today is me. Unfortunately, tomorrow it'll be somebody else. So yes, it was a complete shock to my kids. But once again, knowing the diagnosis was early was very comforting, even though I had to have surgery.
Right. And you chose to have double mastectomy, right?
Yes.
Was that by choice, or the condition required it to?
Okay, so for me, if the stage was, times you read, people will the literature will tell you that stage 0 breast cancer, they're not sure if it'll become invasive, meaning that if it'll spread. So you should wait and see. I wasn't going to wait and see anything. I didn't know where this cancer was coming from. I didn't know where it was going to go. I wasn't going to wait. So unfortunately, even though it was early, my doctor advised me to get a mastectomy on the right breast, which is where the cancer was. But at the time, I hadn't gone through menopause. I was premenopausal. Okay. And my cancer was healed by menopause. It was advised that I get a mastectomy. So I'm thinking, where did this thing come from? Plus, if I got the mastectomy, I would have to go on medication for about 6 years. The side effects for me of the medications was worse than the cancer. And I also didn't want to wake up every day wondering, looking at myself, wondering, is this the day? It'll reduce the quality of my life. So my doctors advised, and I took their advice. When I was, it was still.
Hi, Isabel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. We lose you every now and then because of the network challenge.
Okay, so let me know when you do so I can repeat myself.
Okay, so you were telling me about the advice that your doctor gave you about getting, the mastectomy. And then you talked about the fact that you were nearing menopause as well. And you had concerns that maybe it would exacerbate the problem.
No, so because I was near menopause and my cancer was fueled, breast cancer, there are different types. Mine was fueled by hormones. So because I was still ovulating, I was still producing the hormones. So they would have had to put me on medication to stop the cancer from coming back.
Right.
That medication, the side effects of that medication alone, to me, hold on 1 second, please. I have to pay the toll.
All right. Okay. So we're still speaking to Isabella. Isabella's talking to us about, her journey to finding out that she had breast cancer and making the choice to have both her breasts removed. She's also talking to us about how the family took it when she broke the news to, her family. Let's go back and see if
Hi, I'm back.
Great. Yes. Please continue.
So I was saying that because I had to go on medication to stop the cancer from coming back. The medication, I needed to take it every day for at least 6 years. The side effects of the medication to me was worse than the cancer that I had.
What was supposed to be the side effect? What would have been the side effect of taking those medications?
Oh my God, it was long. It was stroke. It was possibility of stroke. It was blood clots. It was weight gain. It was so many that I can't even say, enumerate all of them. But
right.
It was still a difficult decision for me to get the double mast because I'm a woman. I'm gonna have to cut off my breast. What am I gonna do as a woman? But one of my doctors, my reconstructive surgeons, looked at me and he said, if you were my wife, if you were my daughter, if you were my sister, I would advise you to get both. Luckily for me, the plan was once they so I decided to do the double mastectomy. The plan was once they did in the same surgery, if they cut off the breast, literally, and the cancer hasn't spread, then they can reconstruct at the same time for me.
Right.
Luckily, it hadn't spread. They were able to test and see that it hadn't spread. So after an 11-hour surgery, I was able to come out with new breasts. So yeah, mine and very uneventful recovery. Everything for me that could have gone right went right for me to be here today to speak to you.
That's fantastic. Were there changes in your body, of course? Were there things you couldn't do after the surgery? Were there any limitations that you experienced after the surgery?
No, for me, no. After the surgery, of course, I had major surgery. It was an 11-hour surgery. They had to take fat from other parts of my body because you have to think they took off all my breast tissue. So they had to take fat from other parts of my body to reconstruct my breast. So I was cut in 4 different places. It was a difficult recovery, 4-6 weeks, but thankfully for me, I had no side effects whatsoever. So the 6 weeks that they gave me, 6 weeks to the date, both of my children were going to college. I had to do college visits within a month. I had my surgery June 11th. In August of that same year, I was in the car driving back and forth across town, the US, visiting 20 schools with my kids to, do the college visits. So it was difficult. It wasn't an easy thing, but luckily for me, because I didn't have any side effects, that my recovery was it went according to plan, as they say.
That's fantastic. That must have meant so much for you to be able to come out of a surgery and do the college rounds that you were talking about, be there for your children. Really, how did that help in your recovery process?
I mean, I think one of the things that helped me a lot, and I want to emphasize this, sometimes in Ghana, you get stories where women are diagnosed out of fear, out of ignorance, out of lack of support. They feel the only option they have is to go somewhere and pray. My doctor who did the surgery, when I went back for my review, she stood up. She stood at her door. She didn't even sit down. And she said to me, "You must have had people praying for you. Your cancer was the size of an orange. It was a large area. But where it started is where it was. It hadn't spread anywhere." And I'm saying this to say that prayer is important. For me, I couldn't have done it without praying. I couldn't have done it without telling everybody I speak. I'm not ashamed of anything that I go through. Everyone that I spoke to, "Oh, Nana, we're praying for you. Oh, we're with you. We're praying for you." And I believe strongly, I was praying. I was praying for my doctors. I was praying for everybody who had a hand in my surgery, in my treatment. So after all it was said and done, I came out, my breasts look today better than they did when I went in. Uneventful, early diagnosis, all the support I could have gotten. So that's what led me to where I am today, to start my Embrace Foundation.
Right.
To try to replicate, because I know that with early detection, with the right support, the right resources, other women, other men who I diagnosed with breast cancer could have the same outcome that I did.
How deep did this dig into your finances? Because having surgery to remove the cancer is one thing. Having reconstructive surgery is another thing. Must have been very expensive. Did it hurt the family's finances very deep?
No, and that also contributed to my success story. At the time, like you said, I was a travel nurse. I was in between assignments, so I didn't even have health insurance in the US. Prior to maybe about 2 years before that, in the US, if you have a medical condition and it's called pre-existing condition, you cannot apply for health insurance after you've been diagnosed with an illness. Luckily for me, the God that was on my side, Obamacare had come out, and Obamacare eliminated that clause. So an insurance company could not deny you insurance if you're diagnosed with any medical condition after, and you go and look for insurance. When I was diagnosed, my doctor, my clinic had a patient navigator. So my doctor, after they realized I didn't have health insurance, they put me in touch with the navigator. She helped me fill out my forms. She told me all the resources, connected me to resources. They were giving me money, $600 a month for food that I couldn't even eat. So yeah, financially, my surgery, I had two surgeries. My first one was over $100,000, not to mention all the tests, everything. But because I had Obamacare and I had access to insurance, after I paid my copay, I did not have to pay anything. So aside from the fact that I couldn't work for about 3 months, financially, no, it wasn't a huge setback. As it is, the financial constraints did not deter my treatment, which unfortunately for a lot of our women is not the case.
Interesting. Interesting you talk about for a lot of our women in Ghana, as you know, the situation is quite different, and I know that you know that firsthand because you had visited, and you talk about Embrace as well. What have you found prevailing in Ghana? What did you discover that really shook you to the bone as far as healthcare is concerned for women diagnosed with breast cancer?
So I think that once I recovered and I was fine, I had to sit back and ask myself and ask God actually, like why did God put me on this? Why did He put this on my plate? Like I said, everything that could have went well for me did. I caught my cancer early. I had the amazing support from family, from my healthcare team, from my co-workers. And then I had all the resources. I had access to MRI, every test that I needed to have. I had access to that. But unfortunately, even in the US, people are dying from breast cancer. People are having reoccurrence from breast cancer. So after asking, I figured that, you know what, there has to be a reason. Let me try and understand. I was in the process of moving back to Ghana in 2016. So when I came back to Ghana, I visited Confanoche, went to the breast oncology at the time, met some amazing group of nurses, and they started to tell me the stories, the horror stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They started to tell me how women are, they don't know. Lack of awareness, they present late. Even those who come in early, they feel something, they get diagnosed, or they don't even have time, they don't have the money to do the test to get diagnosed. Those who are able to, some of them, because they have to have a mastectomy, and let me qualify and say, not every breast cancer requires you to get a mastectomy. Some of the lumps are just tiny, or the area is small, so you can just remove it. But some of them, when you mention a mastectomy, when you mention that their breast needs to be cut off, then they leave because they're afraid their husbands are going to leave them. Their self-worth, what are they going to do? So, and some of them, when they do get the mastectomy, unlike me, they don't have access to reconstructive surgery. They don't even have prosthetics. And I saw the nurses making prosthetics out of a foam, the foam that you use to make cushions.
Right.
The nurses in oncology, they took a foam, made a hole in the middle, and put cotton wool to absorb the sweat. And this is how they improvised, So the stories for me was just like everything that worked well for me, that contributed to my success story, was what was contributing to the high mortality rate in Ghana. So that's what inspired me. That's what motivated me, I should say, to want to start I started doing things informally, but then the more you did, the more you realized that the need was greater than you.
Right.
And greater than what you could do. So yeah, that's what led to the establishment of Embrace.
So what did you begin to do with Embrace?
What did we begin to do? We begin by embracing the women. When I was diagnosed, the day that I was diagnosed, I was told in front of my mother. I could not cry because I didn't want to see my mom crying. That day I went to work. I spent the whole night. It was a 12-hour night shift. The whole night I was on the computer trying to figure out where to go for help. I knew the best doctors were in New York City, Memorial Sloan Kettering. I worked an hour. I lived an hour from New York City, but I was still looking for a doctor there. One of my co-workers looked at me and she said, are you in school? And I said, no, I'm not in school. I've just been diagnosed with this breast cancer. I'm looking for a doctor in the city. And she was like, you don't have to go anywhere. We have the best doctor. She's amazing. I see how she is with the patients. You don't need to go. I had no idea this doctor was there. So after work, she encouraged me to go and get an appointment. when I got to the office, I actually just left her now. When I got to the office, her office,
Interesting.
2 women were standing outside. One had a leopard print leggings on. I opened because it was early. It was like before 9 o'clock. I opened the door was locked. So I started to walk away. So the one in the leopard print says to me, "Oh, come back at 9. At this point, I don't want to come back at 9. It's not 9 yet. I'm tired. The enormity of what I've been diagnosed with, it was starting to weigh on me. I just wanted to go somewhere. I wanted to cry. I just wanted to just be by myself and try and figure me out. So she must have seen the look on my face. She said, "Oh, how may I help you?" And I said, "Oh, I came to make an appointment with Dr. Karsif." And she said, "I'm Dr. Karsif. How may I help you?" And that's when I broke down. That's when I started to cry, and she embraced me. She hugged me. She said to me, "You're going to be okay." She allowed me to cry on her shoulders. She said, "What's your name? Come to the office." Well, the next day, my hospital is Good Samaritan Hospital. It was a Catholic hospital. So the next day was Good Friday. And she said, "You know what? Give me your name." I did the biopsy the same hospital. She said, "Come and see me. I'll open my office for you." She came back on her holiday, opened her office, and I had done some reading. Everything I read about what I had was what she told me. When she finished, she said, "You have a, what did she say? So you can seek a second opinion." Where was I going to go? This is a woman who hugged me, made me feel like I was,
right.
Before she could be a doctor to me, she was a human being. She recognized me. That's what Embrace hopes to do for our women. We want to hug them. We want to embrace them. We want to make them know that they're not alone. After she did that, she introduced me to my patient navigator. The navigator held my hand. She helped me get health insurance. She encouraged me to join a support group. So that's what we do. We raise awareness. So, because early in a society like ours where we don't have resources,
right,
early detection is paramount.
It's key.
So we need to step up the awareness game.
So that means
for us.
That means
so the awareness.
It means that Embrace is providing psychological supports to women in Ghana, first of all, who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. You were fortunate to have had the Obamacare at the time take care of your surgery, and even after. You know that it is expensive in Ghana to treat breast cancer, or any cancer for that matter. How is Embrace lending financial support or aid to women who reach out to you in any way or form?
We do. So we create Embrace has 3 pillars. We create awareness through our Embrace Your Breast campaign. Once you create awareness, the woman comes, she knows about it, she feels the love, she sees different changes, she comes, and then she can't do the biopsy, she can't do the workup, and then what? National health insurance pays for chemo. But prior to that, there's a lot of meat that has to be forked out. So recently, we supported a patient. Before the doctors could even decide or tell you that you have breast cancer, they need to do diagnostics. So the hospitals will tell you, go bring 2,000, go bring 5,000. A lot of the women don't have it. So when we do Embrace, we did a fundraiser June 11th of this year, June 11th, which was the day of my surgery. We did a fundraiser. The monies that we raised from that, actually my doctor from the US came. The monies that we raised from that, people who supported us, through that we're able to support women with their diagnostics. We liaise with other breast cancer foundations. One of our biggest collaborate partners is Pink for Africa. Pink for Africa actually started by Julia Mills. She encouraged me, supported me to start Embrace. So she lives in the US, she raised her funds, and then she gives some to Embrace. So when we have women who need support, then we can draw into the funds that Pink for Africa has given us. Different people give us money, and then that goes directly to supporting the women. And what happens too is that it allows people to see that, oh, I gave, 1,000 cedis.
Yes.
That 1,000 cedis went to this woman.
So that, okay. So that means that
see the impact.
So that means that the financial support goes directly to the women who need it, or you provide the financial support through the health institutions here. How does it work?
Okay, so we've been able to, Roche Pharmaceuticals has supported us to train patient navigators that I'm extremely proud of. We have 13 navigators, Cape Coast, Volta region, Western region. So any woman, so October now, everyone's doing screening exercises. If Confanochi decides to do a screening exercises and say, wow, and they have a woman who needs diagnostics, our patient navigator, they can call the navigator. The navigator will call Embrace and say, oh, we have this patient. We suspect she has A, B, C, D, and F, right? Then we will, when we have the money, we give them that diagnostics. But the good thing about it is that now that patient has somebody that directly they can report to.
Right.
So if she has to go to Confanoche, she knows she's not going to be lost in Confanoche. You know, it's not because time is of the essence. So we can call our navigator in Confanoche and say, listen, this patient is coming from Wa. She goes straight to the navigator. The navigator then holds her hand, what she needs through the system. If along the way she needs even transportation money,
that's fantastic.
Then she'll call Embrace. When Embrace has it, we give it. Yes. So the psychological, if they even need to, it's survivors, because sometimes it's not just about money. They need to speak to other people who have gone through what they've gone through. My story, when I tell most people, women in Ghana cannot relate to me because it's easy for me to say, it's good. We have survivors who have gone through the system in Ghana and they have survived. So we have such survivors for them to know that no, even in Ghana.
Hi, Isabel, can you hear me?
The right resources, you can survive. Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Do you have a count of how many women? Right. Do you have a count of how many women Embrace has reached out to and supported so far?
Oh my God. Through our navigation, imagine we were doing a lot of things beforehand, but I wasn't really keeping records, you know. But since the navigation started in April, we've navigated over, between that and screening exercises, close to 2,000 women.
Wow.
Of those we've supported financially close to 100. That's before we started with the navigation. We've supported close to 100. So let me give you a typical example of how the whole navigation system works. So about right before I came here, about 2 weeks ago, I'd done a talk somewhere for Ghana Health Service. 2 weeks ago, right before I came, a nurse called me, Chairman Polyclinic. They have a 33-year-old mother with a 4-month-old with an obvious breast cancer. This is a woman who doesn't even have, she has 4 kids at 33. She doesn't even have money to transportation money. How is she going to do the diagnostics, let alone before she even gets to the chemo?
Yeah.
So they called me on a Wednesday. On a Thursday, I was at Ashaman Polyclinic. Because she lives in Ashaman, I know that we have a navigator at International Maritime. So I called our navigator, Jesua. The next day, she went to see Jesua. Jesua realized that, oh, even though she has health insurance, IMA might be a little more expensive for her. So let's refer her to Kolebu. In Kolebu, we have Gina. So we called Gina through our network in Kolebu. Then we called the doctors in Kolebu. Then they prepare for her. They realize that, no, this is a patient that they know. But the last time when they first told her she needed surgery, she didn't have any money. She was 4 months pregnant at the time. They could have done the surgery for her, but she did not have money, so she never came back. But now that she's in the navigation system, we found money for her to do all the diagnostics. Now I have an amazing lady. Oh God, I have to remember. I'll give you her name when we're done, because you need to acknowledge her. I reached out to her. She has an amazing jewelry line that she has a breast cancer support program going on in October. So she wants to donate. So I said to her, do you want to adopt this lady? So now the lady went to Kolebu today for follow-up. Once we know what her treatment is going to be,
right.
We have money set aside. There's somebody who's going to embrace her, who's going to take care of her treatment. So yes, so that's how it works. So right off, and then we monitor you. So along the way, whatever need the patient may have, then we come in and we support. So that's how the whole thing works. Is to embrace them, to close the loop, so that they don't feel alone, so they don't feel unsupported, so we don't lose them to prayer camps and prayer camps and herbal medications, and eventually lose their lives. So
this is fantastic.
That's through our patient approach. Yeah.
This is awesome. I can imagine the number of women that you're saving, women who, but for your intervention, probably would have died because they don't have money to, go through the process. How do women, if there's a woman out there who's listening to us, who is in dire need of the support of Embrace, how do they find a navigator? Do they go to, is there a site where you have a list of selected hospitals where your navigators are? Or maybe helplines that they can reach out to?
Okay, so we can give you the helpline. I'll have Abdul call you and give you the helpline. But we have a navigator in Tamale, in Ho, in Confanoche, in Cape Coast, in VRA Hospital, in KNUST Hospital. So yes, in all the major government hospitals, as well as International Maritime Hospital in Tema, that offer breast cancer care. We have navigators in Kolebu and Confanoche. We have navigators in the breast care centers, as well as the radiotherapy and oncology centers. So yes, if God forbid you do have you have a need to go, you could just walk in and ask for the patient navigator there. And having said that, I want to also say that Embrace we don't do it alone, and we cannot do it alone. As much as it's expensive to take care of a breast cancer patient, it costs maybe 100 cedis to run a lab test. So we also want to collaborate with people, with organizations who want to help, because collectively we can't do it alone, but collectively,
absolutely.
You think maybe it's expensive, I can't do it on your own. But your 10 cities here, your 100 cities, your 1,000 cities can actually save a life.
That's true. Well, Isabella, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your personal journey and the amazing things that Embrace is doing. We're so proud of you, and don't stop doing it. I'm sure there are challenges sometimes, but I'm sure that you're more determined, and so the challenges will only be stepping stones to great things. Thank you so much. Your final words to...
And can I, before I go, my final word I don't even want to say anyone who's diagnosed, anyone, don't be afraid. When people say early, like I became a statistics, I had no idea. I don't wish it on anyone, but if it's detected early, don't be afraid to look at your breast. Embrace your breast. Often it's like when you see a pimple on your face, know your breast, touch your belly, feel it, know what it looks like, so that if any changes happen, know that even in Ghana, you could be supported through it. Okay, it's not a death sentence. I also want to end up by thanking all the different people that, we've been so blessed that, the story touches people. Everyone who's helped us to support and support women. Thank you. The amazing team at Embrace. My patient navigators, I cannot say enough. I am a nurse myself. I know how challenging nursing is in Ghana, but they are as enthusiastic, if not more enthusiastic, as the day we started the whole patient navigation program. On top of the work that they do, on top of the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis. And also our survivor, one of our navigators is actually a breast cancer survivor herself. So I just want to say thank you for the work and the lives that you're saving.
Thank you so much, Isabella. And have a safe ride to your destination. I'm sure we'll catch up sometime when you're in Ghana.
All right. Thank you so much for having us.
Anytime. All right. So that's our guest, Isabella Asante, really inspiring woman sharing her journey to overcoming breast cancer and what she had turned that experience into to helping other women. But I particularly love the advice that she gives to embrace your body. As a woman, you've got to know your body better than anybody else. Okay? So don't be shy to look in the mirror, examine your breast, After all, it's your breast. It is yours. You haven't borrowed it. Okay? Don't let somebody examine it for you. Examine it yourself. If you do it often, you would know if there's anything unusual. And if it requires for you to get help, you will be able to spot it early and get the help. So please, tonight, ladies, before you, and also for the gentlemen, before you go to bed, if you have a mirror, go and stand in front of a mirror. It's okay to be naked if you like. Examine your breast, touch the nipple, do the self-examination. If you're not sure how to do it, if you go on Google, you will find amazing resources on how you can examine your own breast. And if you feel like you can't do it properly, the month of October is an awesome month for you to find a lot of breast examination centers. Go in there. It's usually for free. Go and have it examined. But even better, if you know how to do it yourself, so that at any given time, you can examine your breast. Check if there's anything unusual. Don't be too fixated with getting a cleavage when you wear a dress. Make sure the inside of the cleavage is healthy. So examine the breast from the nipple down to every portion of it. Examine it. If you find anything unusual, please go and have it checked out by professionals so that if an intervention is needed, it's done for you early, because early detection is very, very, very important. Well, that's our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. A big thanks to Mami Akan on production, to Emmanuel on social media, and of course the Solution for supporting us with technical assistance as well. My name is Miriam Ajaman. Don't forget, you can always go back and watch this interview again on 3FM 92.7. Up next, Lord is in the building with the news on the hour, and after that, Dakofa comes in with Wind Down. I'll catch you next week Wednesday. I'm out.